going to talk about some tools of self-awareness, including the MBTI, which you have already taken. But I'm also going to point out about the lost art of Christian meditation as a tool of self-awareness. In Christian eras of long ago, the meditation was something that people did. People took time. People walked in the woods. People took days to meditate on God's word and to listen, to enjoy what God has put around them, and to discover themselves when all else was quiet. Unfortunately, we particularly evangelicals, lost the art of meditation, which is the greatest tool of self-awareness. Because when you meditate, you open yourself, all your 5 senses. Which are they? 5 physical senses: sight, smell, touch, hearing, taste. You notice all 4 of them are on the head. That's why you shouldn't lose your head, because you need your senses. And when you employ them, then you are able to discover yourself, to know what you are feeling, what you are hearing, what you are touching, and how you are responding to them. You become aware of yourself. I'll tell you a story of what not to do, but which a good friend of mine, did with great results, but don't do it like him. His business was floundering, and he decided to go to a Catholic meditation place in Karen. Now, he's a very energetic person, highly extroverted. As soon as he got there, and he wanted to reflect on what business he was going to do. So as soon as he got there, at the reception, he was very excited. "You have a very nice place here. How many rooms are there? How many people can you accommodate?" So he employed his business sense. And the nun told him, "The way I see you, you won't last here for 3 days. Because when you go past this door, you are not supposed to talk to anyone." So he went in through that door and found that things were really thick for a highly extroverted, energetic person who had come to think about his business. So he stayed indoors for 1 night. And that 1 night, he solved all his problems. The following morning, he got up and went to the same nun at the reception and said, "I have solved all my problems. I'm now okay. I am going. See you." You know, he left his luggage in the room and he went away. And through the night, he had meditated and found a business model, and it turned out into a very successful business. So don't do it like my friend. It is to go and use God's word, to listen to God, to listen to the surroundings, and to listen to yourself. Employ all the senses. You will find that you discover yourself very well. So without tools, without aids, with the word of God, with a reflective mind and time, you are able to discover a whole lot of things about yourself. But let's now go to a tool. Fortunately, it is now available online. This is the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. It is taken from the work of Carl Jung. Carl Jung, but we say Jung if we are English. He was a Swiss psychiatrist who brought something that had been there many years before, typology. Typology in personality says that personality is not random. It is not random. There are classes of personality. And there are people like you, there are people like you, there are people like you. And by putting together knowledge about you and you and you and you, we can learn and classify and understand. So it's a more scientific way of looking at personality. So as Carl Jung studied personality, he came across, he formulated typology in modern times. It was there before in the Greek civilization, Greek and Roman civilization, but he was able to formulate typology in a different way and in a way that we can put scientific inquiry into it and classify with a bit more accuracy. So that's it. That is the quote that my brother quoted from Carl Jung. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. It all depends on how we look at things and not how they are in themselves. I hope everyone can see. Okay, that's Carl Jung. So when he did his work, then two ladies, mother and daughter, Catherine Briggs and Isabel Briggs Myers, developed an assessment tool that put the work of Carl Jung in typology into practice. Now, when we do Myers-Briggs and personality, we talk a lot about preferences. We talk a lot about preferences. So do this for me. Write your name. Write your name. Now, nowadays, I hear people say my names are. They did not go to the school I went to. We say my name is Tim Kamaungodho. That's my name, not my names. So, have you done it? That was quick. That was very quick. None of you has very long names? Okay, good. Now do this. Do you see the hand that you used? Now write your name using the other hand. What is taking you so long? I thought you'd write it. I thought you'd been writing it for many, many years. What is taking you so long? Your name is not longer than it was a few minutes ago. Hey, guys. Okay. You've written? Okay. How was your experience? Okay. All right. Don't interrupt when I'm interrupting. All right. Okay. How was your experience the first time that you wrote your name? Easy? Easy? Faster? Clear results? No thinking? Automatic? Yes? Neat? Yes? Normal. And I can tell you something else. Because I was observing you, it was a quiet experience. No one was talking. How was it when you wrote the second time? Huh? A lot of concentration? Struggle? Noise? It was noisy. It was very noisy. I had to interrupt when you were interrupting. Okay, what else? Untidy the results. What else? Okay, I think that tells it. Okay, now you are this or that. Actually, we say your preference is this or that. Looking at two psychologically opposite preferences, So, are you extroverted or introverted? We say we say your preference is extroversion, but it doesn't mean that you cannot ever introvert or you cannot ever extrovert. It means that when you are on your own, free, totally free to do things and given choice, you will always gravitate one way and not the other. That is what we mean. So, anytime you are free, you are not under pressure, you are not under influence, then your preference is what you will do. That's where you will go to. So, it doesn't mean you are totally unable to write with your left hand, as we have discovered. You can write, and maybe with a bit of training, self-training, you can write better. But anytime you want to write, you will always use your right hand if you are right-handed, and left hand if you are left-handed. So we use the word preference, and I'll be pretty fast so that we can move on to the next thing that we will do, preferences, tendencies, and characteristics. Areas of application for the MBTI, once we are aware of our personality, these are areas that we apply them to on a regular basis, and I would say it, that for you who work with students, who work with associates, and who work with a whole lot of people, and also who are part of a large organization, that all these areas will apply to what you do. Everyone saw that? Careers and occupations, leadership development, organizational development, team-related initiatives, cross-cultural issues, counseling, psychotherapy, and coaching, religious and spiritual issues. I always like to say, Lord, help us. We are using knowledge that we have used, you have given men, but ultimately, God knows us best. And so, as we use the knowledge developed by Carl Jung and other men and women, let us turn to God and let God reveal to us exactly who he would have us be. So don't be stuck on it, but it is a very good indication of who you are and how you operate at best. So we start with what we call the first preference scale. The Jungian model has 4 preference scales, and the first preference scale is what we call extroversion and introversion scale. Who is an extrovert? Don't tell me the name of a person. Who is an extrovert? Outgoing person? Yes? Yes? Anyone else? Outgoing? Someone else? Yes. Yes, that people, yes, outgoing people, yes, energetic. They extend more physical energy. Okay? Yes? Anyone else? Yes. Yes. Yeah. we would they're more daring out there, and I will explain in a moment why they would be more daring going out there, not necessarily holding back. Yes? Anything else? Okay. Yes, brother. um, um, I think what you might be meaning is that they are more they are not as reflective. All right? Because they may not be as reflective, they will say it out. In fact, extroverted people are likely to say something and then say, I said too much. Okay? Why did I say that? While introverted people, after a meeting, they would hold on to some, I will say this, then someone says it and they say, why didn't I say it? and I knew it all along. I should have said it. Or come out and a meeting has no solution and said, but I was thinking this. Maybe I should have said it. Yes? Yes. More than the facts. Well, and I think the same point there is being made, that they are less reflective, right? They are less reflective, so they are likely to say the initial thought that comes to mind without having reflected. In fact, they think as they speak, or they say something and think afterwards. All right, I'll just give a brief description. And an extroverted, it is extroversion and introversion dichotomy, and I'll explain why I use the word dichotomy, refers to the source of energy. What energizes a person? We are all energized, but what energizes us? An extroverted person is energized by the outer world of people, outdoors, and activity. The external world, the outer world of people, the outdoors, and activity. And we are energy-seeking beings. We do the things that give us energy. So an extroverted person, when they meet you, what happens? An extroverted person meets you, and we'll sanitize, okay. And it's like they take a step towards you. You are giving them energy. You are another person. So they sort of take a step towards you. That is an extroverted person. Do you feel that when you meet some people? That they've actually come into your space? That they're now, So, an introverted person, what is the sanitizer for my brother? An introverted person, once they meet you, they take a step back so that they can think and reflect about that experience. So, what happens after fellowship? There are two first years or two first years, and they are coming from the CU fellowship. They are having coffee outside. I don't know if students have coffee. In the early 80s at the University of Nairobi, we used to have coffee after Christian Union. And so, the extrovert meets the introvert and steps out. Hey! So exciting. So much energy. It's so wonderful. And the introverted person, who is this? What does he want? Why is he talking to me like that? So sometimes you can watch the extrovert steps out, the introvert, until the extrovert is cornered. So, and has to go to the washroom. When you see people going to the washroom, sometimes they are escaping from the energy that others are exuding around them. An introverted person gains energy, and I think outer world of people, activity, and the outdoors. An introverted person gains energy from the inner world of thought and reflection. It isn't that they don't have energy, but their energy is through thought and reflection. So who talks louder? Introvert or extrovert? Okay, who will speak first? So if you are in a meeting, let's talk about managing an introvert. If you have a committee and you want to manage extroverts and introverts, what is the risk from extroverts? They will take over your meeting. What else? They can overwhelm the introvert. Yes? Another thing is that they will contribute a lot of half-thought ideas because they think aloud. They think aloud. So when they say something, they're thinking. If you go to a meeting and you tell an extrovert, now you are saying this, 10 minutes ago you said that. Which are we to believe? They say, I was thinking. Even now I am thinking. So how do you manage them? It is to allow the extroverts time to talk. And sometimes if you are introducing changes or discussing something new, break the meeting sometimes. Let the people go out. Break for tea. And let the extroverts talk about it with one another. So, what is Brother Evan saying? What is this new change? How shall we bring things? How will this change work? Allow them to talk. With the introverts, what you do is, it is good first to communicate in writing. If you are going to have a very important meeting, please communicate the agenda, communicate some of the information you have, communicate some of the ideas in writing before the meeting so that they can diligently go over that material and then be able to contribute to the meeting, right? Now, the other thing is this. You're 3/4 way through the meeting. You're trying to make some decisions. And some people have not spoken. What do? And a lot of times they sit at the back. So you have not even seen them long enough to ask them questions. Sit at the back and they are comfortable and they won't say very much. So what do? What's your name? Derek. So we've been talking, and I noticed that Derek has been very quiet, but he seems to be thinking. So what I do is this. Tom has been talking a lot. We already know what his views are. So what I will do when I'm managing a meeting is that I will say, Derek, you're quiet. I would like to know what you think about this. I would like to know your views. But I'll come back to you. I come to Tom, whose views I already know. and I asked Tom, how would you summarize? How would you summarize the things that you've said to us? I'm not asking him because I want to know. It is to give Derek to compose his thoughts and to put his reflection together. So after he speaks, I won't even be taking notes. Because I already know. But still waters run deep. I will be listening very carefully to what Derek says. Because what I'm hearing from Tom, I have already heard from him and the other people in the room. That's how to manage. And it is important to give everyone time and room. As I said, sometimes you break a meeting, sometimes you have breakouts simply to get the people who will talk to talk and to tap their ideas as they think aloud. But also to put things in writing, ask people to write back. When you meet, let things be put in writing, have a reflective meeting, do some brainstorming with writing being done so that the introverted people can come out. Now, of course, the thing is not to silence the extroverted people. Everyone has a right to speak and to be in the meeting. It is not to silence, but to bring up contribution and to bring out the level of the debate by calling out people who are introverted. With children, it's the same thing. Let me talk a little about relationships. I know one couple, they were in love. Actually, I'll tell you our story. When I was wooing my wife, I played competitive squash for many years before I went to golf, which is for more lazier people. So I used to play squash, which is a vigorous game. So when we started going out, I taught her squash, and she started coming with me. And I was very happy because I said, we will be a very good couple, a couple who plays squash together. Isn't it nice? You carry your rackets, you you carry some juice, Lucozade, and you rush to a court and play and meet a few other people. So I said, we'll be a very nice couple. So we played until we got married. After we got married, that's when she said, I'm not really interested. I said, I married you because so that we can be playing squash together. That was a wrong promise. She said, no, I wanted to be with you. And because the place where you are most natural is in a squash court, I decided to come along, and I was enjoying my time. But now I have you at home. So I will tell you the number of women who are drawn to Kasarani Stadium to watch football that they are not interested in are many. But I will also tell you that the number of married women who go to Kasarani Stadium are very few. Now, what it means is this: you have an introvert and an extrovert, and they are in a relationship. They need to discuss this. They need to know, how will you have room for extroversion in our marriage? And how will you have room for introversion in our marriage? What activities will you do? What activities will I do? And what activities shall we do together? How loud will the music be in our car or in our house? How many people will come to our house? There is this pastor friend of mine, an extroverted person. He used to, I say used to, because he really got told, a church is collecting people. Come, let's go to my home. My wife will cook for you. So he was always stringing a crowd after church. And then the wife would say, so why have you brought so many people? What shall we give them? And he says, just give them ugali and sukuma wiki. Until pastor's wife snapped one day and said, you are not going to have visitors until we have talked about it. And it is not about food. It is about my space. I am an introverted person. After church, I want to be with you. That's all. So they had to work out the place of visitors in their house and what their lives together will be in the light of their personality type. And I need to move faster now. So these are some keywords regarding extroversion and introversion. I would like to say, if you see the word written as extraversion, not extroversion, the English word is extroversion, but the MBTI only uses the word extraversion. Otherwise, extroversion is an English word, and there are many personality tools. If you see extraversion, if the person who wrote it knew, it means that we are discussing the MBTI. Who will read these words for us? Any volunteer? Yes. The words for extroversion? And then introversion? Good. Which is better? Which is better? We all come with our gifts and talents. So let's go to the next one, and because of time, I don't know how much of this we can do. Anyway, suppose you find me outside the Focus Center, and I'm going. And please don't ask me any questions, right? And I'll tell you why. You find me outside Focus Center, and I am going to the airport, and I say to you, guide me or help me. Okay? So write what you would do and draw a map if you need to. Don't ask. I'm going to the outside focus center. You have found me. Help me. Right, 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 right. Or begin to draw a map. How many have finished? Okay. Don't feel rushed, but someone has finished. Who else has finished? Anyone else who has finished? Help me. Who else? Yes, yes, yes. Anyone else? You finished. Done. Good, good. All right. Because of time, we will do it by explaining. Those who finished first, what did you write? Pardon? A pin. Okay. Very well. I'll put it down here on my lapel. You give me a pin. Okay. You don't know me. That perhaps means I have a phone. And it has a Google Maps. And I know how to read it and use it. Okay? And that does the same pin apply if I'm taking a matatu or a bus or a private car or a boda boda? Who else? Who else finished, Ali? Yes. Uber. Uber. Call an Uber. Easy. Who else finished, Ali? Same. WhatsApp. Uber. Good. Done. Easy. And I'm at the airport. Good. Who didn't have enough time either to draw a map or to explain? Yes. Can you explain to us what you were going to draw or what you were going to write? Aha. Do you know Utawala? Oh, you do? Oh, I see. Good. Yes. Mombasa Road. Okay, good, good. Anyone else? Yes. That was the question I asked you not to ask because I wanted to hear. So, where were you directing me to? Your pardon? Where? Oh, JKIA. How many airports are there in Nairobi? How many? How many? How many? JKIA? Which other one? And which other one? There is a very big airport in Isli, Embakasi Isli. I may be an Air Force man looking for the Air Force for Isli. So, which is the busiest airport in Africa? Wilson. Wilson. By landings and takeoffs, Wilson is the busiest airport in Africa. Yes, it is. More planes fly from Wilson and land at Wilson than any other airport. And the frequency of landing and everything is busier than, oh, I see. So it's JKIA. Okay. Yes. So you had a problem getting started. Who was it? Who was it that was going to ask me which airport? Yes. So you had a problem getting started because I didn't specify. You wanted more instructions. Right. And then my brother here, who was it? I go to, so Utawala, Embakasi, Utawala, Mombasa Road. Tell me, is the airport before the ferry or after? So I have gone on Mombasa Road and I have come across a place where there's a ferry. Do I go into the ferry or not? What? There's a ferry. You told me to go to Mombasa Road and I have gone and I have come to a ferry. Do I go into the ferry or not? Okay. Okay. The next preference scale, MBTI preference scale, is what we call sensing and intuition. The people whose preference is sensing And this is, by the way, this is how we gather information. How we gather information. People whose preference is sensing gather information by way of their 5 physical senses. And we just indicated them earlier. So they are very realistic. They are very present. They are very practical. They are very detailed. They are good with numbers. They are good with directions. And I think I'll add this in what goes out because it's not in my notes right now. But they are very detailed. If you ask a sensing person, so Tim was here. What was he wearing? They will tell you from head to toe. You ask an intuitive person, they don't know. They can't tell you. Do you know such people? They can't tell you the details. So they are very practical. When they come to a place like this, they will tell you, I walked into a room, I saw that there were so many tents, so many canopies, there was a screen, there was this, there was that, there was the other. The tent was this color, that color, there were 2 speakers, I'm telling you, there are people who have been here since when? When did you start? Yesterday, and they cannot tell you about the seats and the color of the tablecloths and what this brother or what this sister was wearing, because it doesn't matter to them. Now, these are the intuiting persons. They look at the bigger picture. Okay? It was comfortable. It was hot. The conversation was profitable. Okay? Yes? They don't look at the details. They look at the bigger picture. All right? They look at the bigger picture and they tend to fill in the dots. They tend to fill in the dots. They look at possibilities and the bigger picture. Bigger picture and possibility. These are intuitive. And we use N. That's why we have S and N. The reason we don't use I for it is that we have already used introversion for I, so we use N. So we have S and N. Now, remember again, S used their physical senses to describe what they see, what they touch, what they smell, what they taste. That is what they are able to do, and so they are very, very detailed. You can rely on them for details. You can rely on them for their mathematics, adding up, making sure everything adds up, figures, numbers, details. You can rely on them. The intuitive people don't care very much about the details. They look at the bigger picture. Now, it is important from a leadership to know first what you are, because even the job you choose is determined a lot by your personality. What I would say, for instance, the people who are N and are accountants tend to go to management, the management side of business, while the S people tend to go more to the accounting and the auditing, where things are needed to be accurate, where the presentation and conversation is about detail. And we will look at a few words. So that's how we gather information. And these are some keywords. Who will read for us the keywords? Anyone? Okay, good. Yes. 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 Okay. Now, this place always changes. Whenever I come, something has come up. And got mixed up on the way. Actually, I asked myself, can I have passed? So further down, I stopped and asked about the border man, do you know Focus Center? He said, yes, I know. How do I get there? And the thing he told me, a definite N, was I couldn't understand what he was telling me. So what I told him is, I'll pay you 100 shillings and you ride ahead of me and you take me outside Focus Center. So that's what I did. So I couldn't understand that you go this way, you are there. So we agreed. I asked him, do you know the place? He said, yes. So I asked him, can I pay you 100 shillings? You take me outside at the gate. He said, yes. So that's what we did. Because by that time, Brother Evans was asking, where are you? And I was just down there, and the man is telling me, go there, go there, go there, and you reach. He was giving me a pin. Okay. The third, and it's important in terms of becoming aware who you are dealing with, whether it is in focus or dealing with students, because it's important to communicate the amount of information that you require. But if you are sensing, don't ask for more information than is needed. Okay? Because as people just like information. And they always will take a calculator and check if you added correctly. So when you are leading people, if you are an S, be careful of information overload to people who don't need those details. They are able to make decisions very quickly from the little information that is available. If you are a direct report to someone here, it's important to know how much information this person usually needs, because as people find it very difficult to make decisions with scanty information. If you are sent out and you have to come and make a report, know that there are two kinds of people. There are some who will require information, detail for them to understand what was happening. There are others who will need top-line information, the bigger picture and insight pictures about what happened in that mission. So as you make your reports, as you give information, be conscious of the two kinds of people that will be reading your report. If you bring your report like it was 270 kilometers, we got there in 3 hours, we had 7 meetings, and 400 people, 20 people came to the Lord. You may satisfy the S person because you are giving details and information. How was the feel of the place? How was the smell of the place? How did they welcome you? Right? How comfortable are you? You may have gone there, you were sleeping outside, you were sleeping in tents, you were very uncomfortable. Someone will help to understand what you went through for these 20 people to come to the Lord. That there are times you went without breakfast, there are times you walked 30 kilometers, 20 kilometers, there were times there was no water. That will help those people understand what you went through, not just the details. So you need to understand. And if, for instance, you are an intuitive person, make extra effort to provide details or to appreciate details that have gone into a report or into a conversation. The third preference scale, and the reason we call them dichotomy is you cannot be both. It's a dichotomy. You are either this or that. And we can have a long conversation about it. We may not have the time right now. The third one is how we make decisions. How do we make decisions? And on the one side is what we call thinking, and the other is what we call feeling. The way of decision making by people whose preference is thinking is one, by logic, two, by analysis. Logic and analysis. They are tough-minded people. What is the logic? They analyze the information, they make a decision, and the logic is there. So they can seem a bit unfeeling and a bit scientific in the way that they do it. They can do like this. In focus, we are overstaffed. Okay? Maybe there are 100 staff, and the board decided now we are going to be 80. All right? The way a logical, how would you do that? You have to get 20 people out at the end of the day. How would you go about that? You're scared of that decision. Just when you've joined. Let's not talk about focus. Let's talk about organization X. You are the HR manager. You are told there are 100 people and 20 people have to go. Who goes? Based on what? First in, first in, last out. First in. First in, first out. You are caring for the older people. Okay? Yes. You have a balanced scorecard, and you look at the performance, and you rank somehow, and the bottom performers are shown the doors, and you write a letter at the end of the day, and they are gone. Good. That's fair, isn't it? Pardon? Yes. So which positions go? Yes. So the supervisors go. Okay? Yeah. So in that department, who gets the responsibility and who goes? Yes. Those who are performing. So it's performance-based. 1 to 100, 80, you draw a line, 20 receive their letters. Whether it is first in, first out, first in, last out, there's a criteria. It's fair, isn't it? So people can go. What if you found that number 83, number 84, has a mother in hospital, sick with cancer, has 10 children, and they are all school going? Now, what do you do? Yes. Yes? They're not performing, so they go. Okay. But she has a problem with that. Yes. You go. So you look at energy now. Okay. All right. You can see how difficult it is. Now, thinking people use logic and analysis. Once you have determined the criteria, you draw a line and they go. They had a chance to prove themselves. However, feeling people have considered two things: how their decision will affect other people, and values that come into play. Values that come into play. By the way, feeling people, T and F. F people in their decision making are more likely to say, let the highest earning person goes, because he or she maybe earns the salary of several people, so that those people can stay. And probably that person can get another job. Okay? They have real problems making that decision. But it's because they consider the effect that the decisions has on other people and the values that come into play. And as you work with people, as you sometimes have to cancel people, as sometimes you have to tell people off, As sometimes you have to go to a Christian union and say, I'm sorry, but this person just is, this committee is just not performing. Things are not going right over here. It is good to balance between logical analysis, if we are logic and analysis people, and the other one is decision making based on people and how they will be affected, and values that come to play with that decision. Is it clear? Are there any questions so far? Something not clear? And because you've done it, you can already begin to see yourself. Yes. 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 It's actually a dichotomy. And what we look at is the questions that you answered are opposites, and you are forced to choose. Actually, they are not logically opposite, they are psychologically opposite. So that it's what in scientific inquiry is called forced choice format, that you have to choose between two, and the discrimination between them is so clear that you cannot be unclear about it. So when we do the MBTI, we are not trying to measure the extent to which you are extroverted. We are saying if you come out as extroverted, you are extroverted. However, it may be that you are able to write with the other hand, so to speak. You remember, there are people who, when they wrote with the other hand, their handwriting was fairly good, wasn't it? So it may be that over time you have learned to speak, to write with the other hand, but you are still largely thinking or feeling. Now, that's an interesting one. And in terms of spiritual matters, I think we see that Christ could write with the other hand, which is why it is important that we put on the mind of Christ. You may be, as a thinking person, he took a whip and destroyed people's livelihood in a few minutes. Yes? But on the other hand, he healed the sick and he cared a lot. So it is important to know what we are, and it is also good to learn to judge what the situation calls for. Does it call for you to tell people off, which, if you are a thinking person, is what you're more, it's your forte. You have no problems telling, you may not have problems telling people off. Or is it nurturing people? Is it bringing them up to a point? Is it caring? Is it making decisions that nurture, that take care of people, the weak and the feeble? I hope you understand. But having said that, the thing is to use our strengths. Okay? If I found that people were working in teams and I found that there was a thinking person, that's very important. Logic and analysis, I might pair that person with a person who feels, who considers the effect of their decisions on people and the values that come into play, so that when the two interact and they have the Spirit of God, there is a good balance in the decision that is made. That's my very simple answer, but we can have that decision. We can talk about that. The other thing is, I have worked a lot in training and assessing people in the commercial world, particularly insurance and the banking world, because that's where I came from. That's where my employment career was. And I find that people are promoted by being tough-minded. Okay? By being tough-minded. You have all the tough nuts at the top. As a result, you have very little feeling. You have because tough people get to the top, They get to run the department, they get to run the divisions, they get to run the company. You have very tough-minded people. But then what you have is very little innovation in those organizations because they don't know what people want. They don't know the feeling of the people. So there is a little innovation either internally, how to do things, how to interact with one another, or externally, clients, customers. That's why banks offer the same products. That's why the insurance companies operate the same way, because you have tough nuts at the top. Okay? It's a fight. It's a fight for clients, not going behind to find out what the needs are. And so it is important, even as an organization, when to recruit at whatever level, to combine the different strengths that come into play. The fourth preference scale or dichotomy is what we call perceiving and thinking. And I'll be very quick on that. Perceiving and judging. Perceiving and judging. And just know that these words are used in very specific terms. This is how we orient ourselves in the world. It is lifestyle. A judging lifestyle is organized, structured, and planned. Do you know people like that? Organized, structured, and planned. Okay? If you give them a project that is for 2 weeks, they go and break it into 14 days. And they say, I'll do this, I'll do that, and I want to be done by the 12th day so that then I can review my work. You know such people? Yes? Okay. You know the people who tell the teacher, today you didn't ask for homework and we have done it. Any of you here? Okay. Because they are planned, structured, organized. And they shop with lists, right? They do things with lists. They organize their day. They are structured. If you ask a judging person on a Friday, how is your weekend? Where will you be on Saturday? On Sunday afternoon? They will tell you. Okay? If you ask a perceiving person, now perceiving lifestyle is open, flexible, and spontaneous. So if you give them an assignment for 14 days, they will think about it, talk about it, consider. There are sometimes the boss changes the deadline. He says, we wanted this work done by the 14th, but something has come up. Now we have to finish it by the 10th, and it is the 8th. You know what? The judging person has finished. It's a lot of stress. So they are open, flexible, and spontaneous. What is the benefit of having a judging person in a team? Yes? You do not stray away. In fact, they will ask you, you know what? We had 10 things to do in this meeting. Which number are we on? Where are we? If you stray, they will ask you. They get confused if you stray away. They are structured. Their thoughts are structured. They say, we came to discuss 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Which one are we on? And from then on, once you do something, tick. They tick. Because they will keep to the objective, they will keep to the structure, they will keep to the plan of the meeting. And that helps. If you are assigned a project, they make sure that you are doing it incrementally and are getting ready. What is the benefit of having a perceiving person in your team? changes. Changes. If changes come, they will be accommodated. But also new ideas. They are the ones who will say, could we have done it this way? And the judging person says, why didn't you ask before? Just thinking. So why are you taking back to square one? Because there's something really important that we didn't consider. Can we consider it now? Can we talk about it? Can we bring it into consideration? Those are the 4 preference scales. When you put, and that you will get, basically it says extroversion, introversion, source of energy, sensing, way of gathering information, that is sensing and intuition, decision making, thinking and feeling, judging, and perceiving, perception. Why don't we go through it so that you remember? The first one is what? What? Extroversion and? So now let's give the first one and the second one? Sensing and intuition. So let's say the first 2. Extroversion and intuition. The third one is thinking and feeling. So why don't we say the 3? S, and this is EN. That enables us, that kind of classification enables us to analyze. And I'll go, when we take this as 1, that is a lens. When we took the 4, that was a lens. Each 4 that we took, we would like to look at a slightly different lenses. And the first lens, let's start from the right. What does it have in common? NT. Okay? How many people are NT here? You have NT in your 4 letters. The 2 middle letters of your personality. Let's raise the hands high. NT. Okay? NT. Okay. All those are NTs. The next one is NF. How many people have NF in their personality type? Let's see. Raise them high. I just want to form a picture of who we have. Yes? Let's see. Okay, quite a number. Very special people. How many are, we change things a little. We are looking at the first letter and the second and the 4th letter. How many people are SJ? SJ. You have S and you have J. S and J. We are lacking in terms of S and J. What about S and P? If you have S and P in your 4 letters, do you see that we are missing a bit of SP? Where? Where? Okay. Yes, they have spoken for themselves, quite like SPs. This is part of self-awareness still, personality and self-awareness. SJ, we call them guardians, and they are represented by the animal, the beaver. I'll explain in a moment what that means. SJ are guardians. SP are artisans, also called fox. They're represented by the animal, the fox. NTs are rationals, represented by the owl, and NF idealists, represented by dolphin. Now, these are ways of categorizing people and understanding, and I will run very quickly through it. What do you know about the beaver? We don't have beavers here. What do you know about the beaver? Do we? Where? That one. You're a beaver. They're here. Okay. know about the beaver? Yes? They build dams. They cut very big trees. They build dams with them. They cut. They have very sharp teeth. The animal they used to advertise Colgate, many people thought it was a rabbit. It was actually a beaver. Very strong teeth. It can cut trees and bring them and build a dam. And in that dam, its own dam, that's where they mate and that's where they bring their young ones, the beaver. Everybody, it's a good fighter, protector of its stuff, its family. And so everybody in the beaver family knows who belongs and who doesn't. It's protective. It builds a protective community around it. So, guardians, the beavers, we know them by, someone read for us? Okay, can we read all of us? The first one is? Yes. SJs. SJs are like that. You have the ISTJ, the ISFJ, the ESTJ, the ESFJ, and those are the beavers. You know them by a great sense of duty, service, being useful, providing security, stability, conserve traditions. They are traditional. They have traditional values about families, about work, about interaction. They are good with logistics, membership, providing security for membership, and they are responsible people. So these are the ISTJs, the ISFJs, the ESTJs, and the ESFJs. That's what they provide: stability, they provide security and stability in the organization. That's your role in your family. That's your role at Focus. That's your role in dealing with people. It's important to be aware of who you are in terms of self-awareness. So their quest is belonging, belonging for themselves and belonging for others. Their style is stabilizer and traditionalist. Their Achilles heels is they cannot live with disorganization. You know, people who are neat in their own way, people who are organized in their own way, beavers have little room for them. The next one is the dolphin. What do you know about dolphins? Mammals? Yes? Yes? In? The mammal, yes, yes. What do we know about dolphins? They are very warm. They are very friendly people. Yes, they're willing to help. Sometimes they actually carry people who are stranded at sea. They motion to you, get on my back, and they take you to the shore. Now, one thing else we know in psychology, they actually help autistic children to communicate. Somehow, if you take autistic children near them, they are able to communicate with autistic children who never seek to communicate otherwise. So they are very warm, they are very supportive, and the other picture that defines dolphins is a tree growth. They are catalysts for people. They want people to grow. They want people to develop. So the words are growth, integrity, values, authenticity. They are catalysts. They push people. They want people to grow and develop human potential, meaning and significance. Empathic relationships. Empathic may be a new word for you. If you know psychology, don't say empathic. Say empathic. Okay? People will know that you know some psychology. The word in psychology is empathic, not empathetic. The English word is empathetic. Okay, so that is who they are. Warm, supportive, and people developers, catalysts for people. And you see, they are healer, counselor, champion, and teacher. Actually, the healer is the INFJ, the counselor is the INFP, the champion is the ENFP. Do we have ENFPs here? Where? Where? Are you all married? Are you all married? Raise your left hand. These are lovely partners in marriage. They are no, from research, people who are married to ENFPs report the highest level of happiness with marriage, but ENFPs also report the greatest happiness in marriage. And we can go through each one of them with strengths, weaknesses, but I couldn't leave the temptation to talk about ENFPs. NTs. Who are the NTs again? NTs are rationals, and these are knowledge people. Knowledge people. You see, the others was a tree, a dolphin, and a beaver. This one is books. They love knowledge. Knowledge, understanding, insight, competence. Come on, go with me. Concepts, ideas, strategies, logic, design, categorize, and why. If you know ENTs here, they will probably not stop until they have their master's degrees and their PhDs, and if they find themselves in competence, because competence is very important for them, they enroll for a course to learn that which they are incompetent in. So I think that's part of understanding ourselves. It's part of understanding one another.
The Fellowship of Christian Unions, reaching students, changing nations.